Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our Honorable Professor Dr. Rahmat Suud, MA as the first examiner. Our Honorable Dr. Fenja Jani Kalukar, MA as the first advisor. Our Honorable Dr. Wening Tias Parama Iswari, MED as the second advisor. Our Honorable Dr. Istanti Herma Gustiana, MA as the second examiner, and our Honorable Dr. Pil Maria Theodora Ping, MSc as the third examiner. Today, Monday, April 24, 2020, I would like to have thesis proposal seminar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dian Eka Rachmawati, student number 17050860023. My thesis proposal's title is The Implementation of Scientific Approach of the 2013 Curriculum in English Teaching at the second grade of SMA Negeri 1 Sangatta Utara. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there are important points that we discussed today. The first is about the reasons why researcher chose the title, and then the second is about literature review, and then we are going to talk about the related previous study and research methods. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, talking about the background of the study, as we know that curriculum always face improvement from year to year. According to Intansari and Sudayana, the competence-based curriculum that has been applied in Indonesia education since 2004 were considered not satisfied to achieve the aim of primary and secondary education. The content of 2004 curriculum is too dense. It consists of many materials, the number of lesson materials, and competencies required has not been accommodated in the curriculum. So, to accommodate competencies required such as character education, active learning, the balance of the soft skill and hard skill, new curriculum, that is 2013 curriculum, was designed to achieve this need. According to Lazim, the 2013 curriculum should be implemented in the environment of specialization in student targeted learning, forming the students' idea and growing students' thinking skills. So, the right approach, the best approach to implement the 2013 curriculum is scientific approach. Okay. Next, ladies and gentlemen, according to Hosnan, scientific approach does not only emphasize studying results as the end results, but also the learning process as the important consideration. Therefore, the students need to be actively involved in the learning process to present the information which is acquired not only from the teachers but also from other resources such as books, internet, video, and environment. Based on the strength of 2013 curriculum above, it will be success if there is the creativity of the teachers, because the teacher is an important factor that has a big influence, even very determining the success or failure of the students in learning, especially in implementing the implementation of scientific approach in the class. However, the realization of the implementation of scientific approach in the 2013 curriculum is not smooth. It is according to the data, Yeah, from previous research conducted by Wipaki and Aswandi, there were many obstacles in implementing science approach. Some teachers' performance was still lack of implementing some cases and criteria, especially observing. Yeah, because there are 5 steps in scientific approach, such as observing, questioning, experimenting, associating, and communicating. Yeah, and many teachers miss one or more this phase. And then another data conducted by Zaim revealed that among the 5 steps of scientific approach, the teacher were not able to implement the observing and questioning steps optimally yet. Yeah. Meanwhile, in experimenting and associating, the teachers have applied them well. Yeah, and in communicating, the teachers have applied them optimally. So, ladies and gentlemen, for these reasons, the researcher is interested in knowing the implementation of the scientific approach to teach English in the 2013 curriculum at SMA Negeri 1 Sangatta Utara. Because the implementation of scientific approach is a must for English teachers to apply it in the learning process. So, the school has been selected, SMA Negeri 1 Sangatta Utara has been selected by the government to implement the 2013 curriculum because it met the requirements in 2014. And then also the school has been implemented 2013 curriculum since or almost 6 years. Yeah, and then several workshops have been conducted to study about the scientific approach for the teachers in the school. So, ladies and gentlemen, based on those reasons, the study is entitled "The Implementation of Scientific Approach of 2013 Curriculum in English Teaching at the Second Grade of SMA Negeri 1 Sangatta Utara." Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, based on the background of the study, the researchers identifies the following problems. The first is, how is the implementation of scientific approach of the 2013 curriculum in English teaching learning process at the second grade of SMA Negeri 1 Sangatta Utara? And then the second is, what problem does the English teacher face in implementing the steps of scientific approach of the 2013 curriculum? And then the third is, how does the teacher solve the problem? There are 3 research problems in this study. And then next, the purpose of the study are, the first is to investigate how the scientific approach is implemented in the process of teaching and learning English. And then the second is to identify the obstacle of the implementation of scientific approach in the teaching and learning English. And then the third is to describe how the teacher solved the problem. And then next, the significances of the study. There are 2 significances according theoretical significances and practical significances. For theoretical significances, these results expected to give significant contribution to the existing theories of implementing scientific approach in English teaching learning. And then the second is the practical significances for the students. This result of the research expected can be used as a clear explanation to implement the scientific approach in English learning process. And then for the teachers, the result of this research can help teachers how to implement, or can be useful for the teachers to know more about the implementation of scientific approach in the class. And then the third is for other researchers, to give additional information for other researchers who wants to conduct further research on the related field. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about literature review. Literature review present the result of reviewing related literature, including concept of implementation, and then concept of curriculum, concept of the 2013 curriculum, scientific approach, and then about the 2013 curriculum. Okay, so the concept of implementation, according to Zaim, implementation is an attempt to integrate the new concept or idea into practice. And then the concept of curriculum, based on the studies that have been conducted by many experts, the definition of curriculum can be viewed from two different sides. The first is old view and the second is modern view. And then the concept of the 2013 curriculum is a curriculum which is focused on education based on competencies and characters. And then scientific approach. Scientific approach is defined as the process of finding out information in science, which involve testing the ideas by performing experiments and making decisions based on the result of analysis. There are 5 steps in scientific approach, such as observing, questioning, experimenting, associating, and communicating. And then next, teaching English using scientific approach. It is activity of acquiring knowledge of English by implementing the steps in scientific method, consisting of observing, questioning, experimenting, associating, and communicating. And then next is a concept learning model in the frame of the 2013 curriculum, such as discovery learning, problem-based learning, project-based learning, and production-based learning. It is for vocational school. And then in literature review, we are going to talk about teaching English in the frame of the 2013 curriculum. It is activity of acquiring knowledge of English by using the 2013 curriculum, which it will make students more active and critic in learning English as a foreign language. Okay, next we are going to talk about the related previous study. According to Zaim's study, this research was intended to examine how the scientific approach was implemented in English classes in 2 senior high school in Padang. And then the next study is from Ratnaningsi's study, who did research on teachers' implementation on scientific approach in English language teaching. And then the third is Wipaki and Aswandi's study. The purpose of this research is to determine the application of the scientific approach in teaching of English for 10th grade at senior high school for Bengkulu City. So, ladies and gentlemen, concerning Zaim, Ratnaningsih, Wipaki, and Aswandi's study, there were similar and differences with this study. Their studies and the study were similar to describe and explain the implementation of scientific approach of 2013 curriculum for teaching English. Then they have similar procedures how to collect the data, such as interview and observation. And then there were also differences between previous research and the study, were the subject of Zaim, Ratnaningsih, Wipaki, and Aswandi's studies were many teachers and students, while the study only used one teacher as the subject. Okay, next we are going to talk the research methodology. Okay, the research methods. The design of this research is descriptive qualitative because we would like to describe all of the activity, all of the teaching learning process about the implementation of a scientific approach in the class. And then the main point of this research is to collect and to accumulate the basic data in a descriptive way. And then the research setting, okay, like we said before, the setting of the study is in SMA Negeri 1 Sangatta Utara because this school is accessible because it is located in the center of the town in Sangatta. And then the school has implemented the curriculum 2013 for more than 3 years. And then I think it is expected to get more information regarding to the implementation of English teaching based on curriculum. And then the research subject of the study is 1 teacher, 1 English teacher, and 5 students at 2nd grade. Okay, and then next slide. We are going to talk about the research instrument. We use observation guideline, interview guideline, and documentation. And then how to collect the data. We will do observation and then interview and documentation. For observation, the researcher will prepare the observation sheet, and then the researcher will observe the English teacher, the English teacher during teaching and learning process in the classroom, and then the researcher will take notes on how the teaching learning process is conducted. And then for interview, the targeted interview as a teacher of English and 5 students of the 2nd grade of SMA Negeri 1 Sangatta Utara. And then the interview will be conduct after observation, maybe for the first observation. And then the English teacher and group of students will be invited to join the group. To join the interview. There will be a separation for interview teacher and the students. And then they will be asked about their perception towards the implementation of scientific approach in the class. And then when conducting the interview, the researcher recorded by using recorder. Afterward, the result of the interview will be transcribed into written data, coded and analyzed to find the goal of the study. Okay, and then for the documentation, document analysis on teacher's lesson plan. So we need the lesson plans to collect the data. Okay. And then next, how to analyze the data. Okay, there are 4 steps in data analysis. The first step is collecting the data from the process of observation, interview, and documentation. And then the next step is data reduction. It will be done by coding, classifying, and sorting out the important data related to the research question of the study. And then the next step is displaying the data. In this step, the selected data relates to the research question are represented in the form of table, figure, or description. And then the next step was drawing conclusion or verification. Yeah, in this step the conclusion will be drawn based on the data and the information gathered during the research conducted. Okay, and the next slide is about trustworthiness of the data. Okay, data triangulation will be proven by the use of different data sources. Meanwhile, in the methodological triangulation, the researcher get the data by using different techniques. Okay, and the next slide, okay, is conclusion. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all for my presentation today. I would like to give conclusion. Yeah, the conclusion is the 2013 curriculum is a curriculum which is focused on education based on competencies and characters, yeah, which have combination between moral and knowledge. And then the 2013 curriculum can be implemented successfully by using scientific approach, yeah. And then the scientific approach can run successfully if there is the creativity of the teachers in teaching and learning process in the class. Yeah, there are 5 steps in scientific approach. There are observing, questioning, experimenting, associating, and communicating. Yeah. So therefore, the researcher would like to know the implementation of the steps in the class, whether it is successful or not, and then what the problem faced, and then how to solve the problem. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning.